In this video, we will show you how to replace your fuel tank filler neck assembly on this Chevy Tahoe. This will be located along your driver's side rear fender and underneath the vehicle. Let's get into it. Okay friends, let's get started on our job. The first thing you're going to want to do is open up your fuel door. Then remove the fuel cap. With that removed, you'll find that you have 3 7mm headed mounting screws holding the filler neck in place. Remove all 3. There's one. We'll do the same to the others. At this point, this can move around freely. Let's make our way inside of the rear of the vehicle. Now in here, let's make our way along the driver's side. We're going to remove this panel. With that out of the way, we have our spare tire service kit. We do not need the jack, but we do need the jack handle and rod assemblies. We'll just pull this out of place. Remove the jack handle. Now we can make our way down along here. Go ahead and open that up. Commonly in this area, you'll find that you have a lock that you will need to use your ignition key to remove. If you don't have the lock, you can skip this step. We'll use the ignition key. Remove that lock, give it a quick inspection, and we can set this aside for now. Now from the spare tire service kit, we're going to need these 3 pieces. Let's take the 2 rods that have the square ends and the square holes and put the 2 together. Once you have the 2 of them together, we're going to take the end that has the square hole and slide it into position. Give it a little twist until it feels like it fits right in. Next, we're going to turn this counterclockwise and lower the spare tire all the way to the ground and remove the assembly from inside of the spare tire. Now that it's down low enough, we can remove the tool. Now we'll twist this and slide it up through the center. Now once you have this removed, you can move along. Let's make our way underneath the corner of the vehicle, and we're going to find the ground strap that comes from the fuel filler neck all the way down to the frame. In this area, you'll find a 10mm headed bolt that holds the ground strap for the filler neck and other ground straps as well. Use a 10mm to remove that mounting bolt. Now we can start removing these ground straps. Now let's follow the fuel filler neck all the way up to where it connects onto the body of the vehicle. We're going to remove the vent hose from it. To remove this, we'll use a small pocket screwdriver on this plastic clip. Carefully get in between this area and gently separate it. Once you have that freed up, remove the vent hose from the clip. With that out of the way, you want to make sure that you have this nice and clean so the rear differential can vent properly. A quick inspection to make sure it's not torn, worn, or damaged in any way, and then set it aside. Now let's follow the fuel filler neck. Right up along the top of the frame, you're going to find that you have a 13mm headed bolt holding a bracket that's attached to the fuel filler neck. Remove that bolt. There's that one. Now let's continue following that filler neck tube over this cross member. You'll find one more 13mm headed bolt. There's that mounting bolt. Now we can make our way towards the fuel tank. On this, you'll find that you have the one vapor line here. To remove this, we will squeeze on these two tabs and pull the line off. Now that we have that off of there, we'll set that aside. Now we can make our way to where the fuel filler neck connects to the rubber hose leading to the fuel tank. Use an 8mm or flathead screwdriver to loosen this clamp, slide it out of the way. Now you can start removing this. If you find that the hose is stuck to the fuel inlet tube, use a hose pick. Carefully separate it without damaging the rubber hose, because we will be reusing that rubber hose. Now we can take hold of that fuel filler neck and the hose and separate the two. Now we can take hold of the fuel filler neck and we'll start pivoting this area down. Now while we have this pulled down, let's continue pulling the entire thing out and through this direction. We'll twist it as needed. And remove it from the vehicle. There it is, friends. All right, let's get ready to install that brand new fuel filler neck assembly. We're going to put it in the same way that we had removed it. Bring this right up and over the frame, and then over the cross member as needed. We want to make sure we have that vent hose up and over the top of this tube. There we are. Now we can start connecting that tube into our rubber hose. You'll find at the end of the tube you have this little bubbled area. We want to make sure that that area goes past the area where your clamp will sit. We'll take this and slide it into position. There we are. I can feel that I have the bubbled area of the tube all the way down below where my clamp will sit. Now before we tighten the clamp on that hose, we want to make sure that we start in each of the mounting brackets with their 13mm headed bolts. Get this first one started in by hand. There's that one. Now let's try to get the other bracket aligned with the proper hole in the frame. Start in our 13mm headed bolt and then snug it up. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now we can get our vent hose in place. We'll make sure that we latch that in. Listen for a click, give it a tug to make sure it cannot fall down. Now let's make our way back towards the fuel tank. Resecure your clamp using your 8mm socket. You want to make sure this is nice and tight so no fuel comes out of this when you're filling your tank. Now it's time for the vapor line. Take that and put it in position, press it in until you hear a click. Give it a tug to make sure it's completely secure and it cannot fall off, otherwise you will have a check engine light. Now it's time to move back to where the ground straps connect to your frame. It's important to make sure that each one of those straps makes a good ground. So what we need to do is sand down the area on the frame where those two straps will mount. First, I'll scrape it down a little bit. Continue on with some sandpaper. Now you don't necessarily have to sand down all of the frame. You just want to make sure the area where the ground strap will sit is clean and bare metal. Now we can take hold of that ground strap. It's important to make sure you clean both sides of it. We'll use sandpaper for this. Now we can move along to resecuring our ground straps. You'll find just underneath the mounting bolt hole, you have a secondary hole. And on the ground strap itself, you have a little piton that comes protruding out. That will slide into the secondary hole. Now you can align the bolt hole. Before you put in the mounting bolt, take your brand new ground strap and put that right over that first ground strap. Now we'll start in that mounting bolt and snug it up. Double check to make sure everything is nice and secure. This will help protect you against static electricity when you're filling up your fuel tank. Now from up at the top, we're going to make sure that we start in all three of our mounting bolts, and then you can snug them up. Time for the fuel cap. Turn it until you hear a click. Close your fuel door. Now it's time to resecure our spare tire. Let's take this and put it down through the center of the wheel. Insert the spare tire tool and start cranking clockwise to resecure the spare tire to the body of the vehicle. Double check to make sure the spare tire is secured properly. Remove the tool and put it away. Slide those in. Commonly, there will be some sort of mount that holds this in place. Ours does not have one. If yours does, make sure that you resecure it properly. Continue on with your trim panel. If you had one of these locks, install that now. You'll find that you have a ridge coming along the top. It should fit into the slot up along the top of this area. Turn that counterclockwise to lock it in the proper position and make sure it's closed and protected. Let's close this. Okay friends, we've got the truck back together. At this point, go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test. Make sure you don't have a check engine light, and when you go to gas up, double check to make sure you don't have a fuel leak. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.